So in this video, I'm going to address the question, what if I can't remember the past? What if I can't remember my childhood? So what do I tap on? So this is a common question that comes up, particularly when working one-on-one with a practitioner. I often get this question, and this is a question I'll also dive into in much more detail in the upcoming EFT practitioner training. So in this video, I want to give you 3 ways that you can start working with it right now, right? And the main reason, and one of the main reasons we work with memories, is because memories, particularly when we're talking about trauma or even non-trauma, but just some kind of stress on the system, that tends to be a strong either starting point of a stress that gets sort of recorded in the brain, or it's at least one strong association which is contributing to the stressful behavior later on, right? So, for example, people, get triggered by something quite easily when they hear something, when they smell something, it could trigger them. And the reason they're getting triggered is usually because something in the past was recorded in the brain, some kind of stressful event. And now that smell, that sound is reawakening that, right? So that's why we do tapping in and work with memories. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Michael Hetherington. I help people that are suffering from anxiety, stress, digestive problems, and traumas from the past. And I use mainly EFT tapping to help reset, reorganize the nervous system so they can feel calmer, they can feel clearer, and have a greater sense of freedom. So let's get into these 3 techniques. And like I mentioned before, I'll go into more detail during our upcoming EFT practitioner training, but I want to give you 3 ways that you can start working with it now, or start at least being aware of it. So the first one is just to focus on the current emotions, what's happening in real time. That's always a great place to go, right? And even if you just start working on this tightness inside my body, this feeling inside my body, my heart racing feeling, this intense tightness in my shoulders, you can just start there, right? So you don't have to, go into the memory banks. In some indirect way, we are still changing the way the brain is functioning, right? It's particularly with stress, which is what the memory is about. It's about some kind of stress recorded, and it's kind of playing out potentially in the present moment through, tight neck and shoulders, all these different feelings in our bodies. So an easy way is just to practice on what you're feeling in present time. And it's better to do that than not practice because you don't have the memory, right? So just work with what's in front of you. I like that saying, just one step after one foot after the next. Just work with what's in front of you, and that'll take you to the next step. And often what happens with EFT, because of the nature of the brain and how it's all connected, the amygdala, is that when you start tapping on the present, often it'll start awakening up different parts of the brain and different memories. And then you follow that, and then it'll wake up another part of the memories. So it's very common that things will start sort of unfolding or opening up as you get into the practice of EFT, particularly in a therapeutic setting, and you've got the time and the space to go down that path, right? So don't let the lack of memory stop you. You can just start working with what's present. Second technique is just start general. So you can use more vague language, such as, even though I've got this fear feeling, and it may be coming from my past, it may be coming from my childhood, that's okay. I fully and deeply accept myself anyway. Right? So even though I've got this deep fear feeling, and I don't really understand where it comes from, it may have come from my childhood on the side. It's likely it came when I was a child. So even if I've got this fear feeling that may be coming from childhood, I fully and deeply accept myself anyway, right? And you just move through like that. So you're just sort of using more general language to kind of sweep through the area, and you're opening up by using terms like maybe it's from my childhood. Often I say things like maybe I don't understand where it comes from, and that's okay. Maybe I'll fully never understand where this thing comes from, but you can tap and start breaking it down anyway, right? So go general. Another example would be I say, all the feelings that I'm not aware of. You know, there's probably a lot, right? There's probably a lot in everyone. So even though there's feelings that I'm not aware of, that's okay. I fully and deeply accept myself anyway, right? So you're sort of cleaning up very big sweeps through the system, right? And again, like I said before, is often you work in one area and that'll start awakening it'll start awakening, you know, more memories will come up from that process. Another little tip is you can just use imagination, right? Because in EFT, we don't need to know the facts of everything. It's called the emotional freedom technique. It's not called the factual, intellectual technique, right? So even the nature of memory is completely changing all the time. Most memories are completely altered, you know, 10 years down the track, 20 years down the track. Even what you feel is completely factual is probably quite distorted. So what we can do is we can just imagine things as best we can. Of course, if it's a strong trauma, we don't want to be like imagining the worst case scenario or like putting someone into a very strong traumatized state. But it's more like, you know, even when I was at school and it was a very tough time, and I remember the kids used to pick on me, and, you know, so you're sort of, this is another trick with trauma is what I'd recommend is you don't go at it full power. And we talk more about this in the training, of course. So when you're using imagination, you're just starting off in softer areas, I would say. So not 10 out of 10s, not intense traumas, don't go straight at that. We want to sort of ease into the process. It takes a little while to get into trauma work. And again, we'll talk more about that in the course. So that's number 3, is using imaginations and just sort of filling in the gaps. If you don't remember the specific details, but you got a flash of this and a flash of that, you just fill it in with your mind and you just tap on it anyway, right? Just keep tapping. And the 4th little bonus one is you can just tap on the resistance you have or the frustration you have with about not remembering anything, right? So even though I can't remember my youth or my childhood, and I wish I kind of did, and it's a bit frustrating, or whatever the feeling is for you, maybe it's sadness, that's okay. I fully and deeply accept myself anyway, right? Tap on the inside of the eye. So even though I can't remember my childhood, and I wish I could, that's okay. I fully and deeply accept myself anyway, right? So that's it. You go through and you just tap on the frustration or the sadness or whatever it is for you about not being able to remember. And like I said, often if you tap on that, that will actually likely help actually open up other memories. You'll start thinking or having flashes of different things. So that's the 4. I'll give you a quick summary just to quickly cover it again. So focus on current emotions, just focus on now. Second one, use more vague language, go more general, such as maybe this feeling, came to me in my childhood. Maybe I picked this up and I don't understand where. Good. Third one, use imaginary scenarios. So just do your best, fill in the gaps as best you can, tap on that. That'll work too. And the 4th one is tap on resistance or tap on the frustration that you have about not being able to remember things. And that'll give you plenty to work with, right? That'll give you plenty. So if you want to dive deeper into this stuff, memory work, trauma work, healing our childhood, healing our relationships with our parents, and really getting to the root of a lot of our stress and anxiety, then check out the EFT practitioner training coming up. There'll be a link in the description box below, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.